All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Joshua 2415 Outdoors. I am excited to bring you today Rick. I'm sorry, I don't want to butcher your last name.
It's all right.
Is it
It's Rick
Patri?
Patri.
Patri. All right,
Yeah.
Rick Patri from Monsterbass. He's here. He's joining us today. We want to thank him for his time and just showing interest in this podcast and this show. So we appreciate you coming on. We're happy to have
Yeah.
you.
Thanks for having me.
And without further ado, we'll jump right in here. So I've got just a couple of questions pertaining to Monster Bass.
Okay.
When we jump into the origins of Monster Bass,
Okay.
how did that get started? How did that come about?
Yeah. Well, I've actually been working in the industry for about a decade. And prior to Monsterbass, I worked for a company called Lucky Tackle Box. I helped start that company. And, for 4 years of my life, it was amazing. And somewhere around the fourth year, the owner of the company decided that making money was way more important than putting out a quality product. And so, the box went from what I thought was something really special, and that was a great monthly surprise of great baits from brands, delivered to your door, and you save time, you save money. I thought that was so great. But when he decided that he wanted to start making more money, something had to suffer,
Yeah.
and the quality suffered. He decided he was going to start making up brands. And when I say making up brands, like literally we would sit around the table and he'd be like, all right, give us some names for bait companies. And guys would throw around Texas Tackle, Great Lakes Bait Company, things like that. And he'd be like, all right, great. Now go find factories overseas that have baits and buy them. And that was it. There was no product development. There was no anything. He would literally be like, we need a jerk bait this month. Someone would find a factory. We'd buy 10,000 jerk baits, with who knows what kind of hooks and O-rings and
Yeah.
paint schemes and whatever. And he'd stuff them in a Texas Tackle box. And he wouldn't even go as far as to like put real SKUs on it. Like you flip it over and it was a fake SKU, like all zeros. And I said to him, I said, fishermen aren't dumb. They're not. They're gonna figure this out really quick, and this is gonna be the death of your company. And he didn't agree with me. And so ultimately I ended up leaving. And on the way out the door, he did me dirty and didn't give me any of the money he owed me. And so I had always had this idea for Lucky, and thankfully I didn't give it to him. And I took that idea and I used it to start Monster Bass. And my idea was, we're sending out this monthly box every month, and that's great. But what about the guy in Florida who gets baits that he can't use, right? A deep dive and crankbait in Florida really doesn't do him much good, right? Or
Yeah.
sending the guy, in Arizona smallmouth baits when he doesn't even have smallmouth. So
Doesn't
my
make
idea,
sense.
yeah, my idea was let's split the country into regions and send the best baits for the places you love to fish that are both regionally and seasonally appropriate. And that's not to say everyone's not going to get a spinnerbait one month, because let's face it, you can fish a spinnerbait year round.
Love
But we're
spinning.
going to do our best to send you baits that make sense. We're gonna take you out of your comfort zone, because let's face it, some guys go fishing and all they throw is a Texas rig. All they do is tie in on an 8-inch curly tail worm, Texas rig it and drag it, and they're happy if they catch 40 fish that way. But what we want to do is we want to help you become a better angler. I got the opportunity a long time ago to go fishing with Scott Martin, and the one thing he told me was, my dad always said, you got to learn every technique, because that's going to help you fish any condition on any body of water anywhere in the country. And
Yeah.
if you're skilled at that, you're going to outperform the other person. So that really got me thinking. And that's why when we send you a box of baits, we're going to include a 20-page guidebook. It's going to outline some of the baits, help you tell, here's the suggested rod, reel, line setup. Here's a video showing you how to fish this bait, what's new and unique about it, and try and get you to set you up for success, because we think if you go out there and have a good time trying a new technique, you're more liable to do it again. And because we're giving you all the encouragement and all the information that you need, you might be more liable to put on a Tokyo rig than you would if you'd never thrown a Tokyo rig before.
Yeah.
And so that's really what Monster Bass started. And since then, we've wrapped it around with a community, and we're not just a subscription box. We've got a line of rods called Lunker Sticks. 20 it's a sorry, it's $129, 40-ton Japanese carbon blank, Fuji guides, Fuji reel seat, and we back that with what we think is one of the best warranties in the country. I mean,
You
it
spared
literally
no
has
expense on the quality.
yeah,
That's
yeah, no expense on the quality, and we got a no questions asked warranty. So I don't care if you slam that thing in the car door and break it, we'll replace it for you for $50. That includes your shipping,
yeah.
everything, because we think that our rods are spectacular. I worked with a rod designer who used to work with Abu Garcia and Daiwa over in Japan. He designed the blanks. It's not some off-the-shelf blank. So we've developed a line of rods, and now we have a BFS lineup on the way. We're getting into that. We've developed our own baits, so we've got a whole lineup of hard baits. And the things that we do differently, we were using BKK hooks before really anyone knew what they are. And what we do a little bit differently with our baits is all of our baits in the hard bait lineup have red front hooks. It's a preference. For me, it's different. It presents something different for the fish. Research shows that fish do see colors, and so I wanna believe that, like, if they see red, that it triggers something inside of them that indicates a wounded bait fish. And for me, it's a confidence thing. And so when we wanted to design our baits, we wanted them to be a little bit different. So that's why we go with red hooks. And so we've transformed from just a subscription box company to a brand in fishing that manufactures its own products and has a subscription box. So
Yeah, that's I absolutely love that concept too. And from my research, if I'm not mistaken, I think your subscription service and what you all do is the only one of its kind that I've seen. No one really tailors their baits towards your region specific uh, areas for different types of fish and different scenarios, or whatever someone may be facing in their region. And
yeah,
that's what intrigued me about Monster Bass, because not everywhere is going to be the same. I fish Kentucky Lake a lot.
yeah,
That's going to be different from Florida or Arizona,
sure,
as you mentioned.
yeah.
Um, and I really love that concept. And also, I'm with you on the red hook. Anytime I choose a trailer hook or a spinner bait or whatever it may be, I go red for that same bait fish, the wounded bait fish action.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
I mean, look, call it what you will. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. But for me, I find it gives me more confidence. I
yeah,
find it gives me, if there are 10 other guys throwing crankbaits and I'm throwing a crankbait, I know that mine is a little bit different,
yeah,
right? And for me, that gives me some confidence that I'm gonna have a better day. And so, it's just something that we've incorporated as a brand, and you know, like it or not, it's just something that we've done, and I feel really good about it.
yeah. I think you have every right to feel confident about that. I've had a lot of good success with that same mindset as well. Speaking of quality, I have
Yeah.
to compliment the shirts. The
Okay.
shirts are incredibly soft. They are very comfortable, and
Thanks.
I enjoy wearing it. So you didn't spare any
Thanks.
expense on the quality of the shirts either.
Well, we like, here's the thing. I'm a walking billboard. My girlfriend would tell you, she'd be like, we're going out tonight. Can we like get rid of the Monster Bass stuff? I wear Monster Bass probably, 365 days a year. And so when I picked the shirt, I was like, I need to pick something that I'm gonna like.
Yeah,
Now, I think
yeah,
the shirt that you're wearing might have been a promo that my printer gave me, but usually I use Bella Canvas blanks. It's a it's a manufacturer that makes sure it's out in Los Angeles. It's you'll find them in high end stores, and I just like the way that they fit. I like the material. It's soft. It wears well, and so when it came time to pick shirts, I was like, well, I'm gonna pick shirts that I'm
Yeah.
gonna wear, so might as well go with it.
Makes perfect sense. Yep. I'll move on to the next question. So, well, you kind of answered that, but kind of not to be redundant, but so you would say then that what drove really your passion to start Monster Bass would be that lack of quality that you experienced with your former employer, and then wanting to make something better to present to the customer versus, I'm just going to throw a bait together and this is what you get.
Yeah. So, I grew up in upstate in Syracuse, New York. So my home lake was Oneida Lake. And as a kid, I would always go fishing with my dad. Now, it wasn't the best experience, if I'm being totally honest with you, because my dad had lots of rules. Don't talk, don't stand up in the boat, don't do this, don't do that. And I was like, oh my God, this sucks. But I love fishing. And so it wasn't until I grew up and moved and got married and had a kid that my kid was like, Daddy, I want to go fishing. I'm like, all right, let's go fishing. And I went to Bass Pro Shops and I wandered the aisles and I was like, I don't freaking know what to buy. There's 100 crankbaits that all look exactly the same.
Different
I don't
brand,
know,
but same
I don't know
concept.
which brand. It's all marketing. At the end of the day, everything was designed to like hook me into buying something. And I get that, but like I literally didn't know what to buy because at the end of the day, I want to have a good day out of the water. I want to catch fish and I want to know what I'm doing. And it had been like 20 years since I went fishing. And so when I thought about like building a box, it's like, okay, what could I give to somebody that's maybe new to fishing or
Yeah.
someone who's experienced in fishing, but give them something that's relevant so that they either pick up some little tidbit of information or have an opportunity to try new techniques. Like the number of people, I remember when we did this box and we did the Tokyo rig box, and people were like, what the hell is the Tokyo rig? I've heard about it, but I've never used it. I'm like, now's your time. I'm going to give you everything you need and a video on how to fish a Tokyo rig. And sure enough, people went out and they're like, I've never done it before, but I'm going to give it a try because it came in my box. And I got so many emails that just flooded me about like, wow, I would have never fished a Tokyo rig if it didn't come in my box. Thank you. I've learned a new technique and maybe I'll use it next time. Maybe I won't. We'll see when the conditions are right. But I'm gonna do that. And so that there was my initial idea to get into fishing, and then that's what became Lucky Tackle Box. And it wasn't until I left Lucky where I really built on that and said, we're going to regionalize the country. We're going to build
Yeah.
a community around it. And, and that's why we have shows like Monsterbass Live. And, we got a hotline so people can call in, ask questions and things like that. So it's been a pretty interesting ride.
Yeah, I listened to one of your podcasts with where you actually had a kid as your co-host. I thought that was really neat. And then
Yeah.
you interviewed the legend himself, Kevin Van Dam.
Oh, yeah.
That was a good episode.
Yeah, I used to love having that little kid on. So I didn't even know him. And oddly enough, his name is Max, and my son's name is Maximus. And so for the longest time, people were like, "Is that your kid?" I'm like, I've never even met the kid. And but I had this idea that probably you're too young for this, but there used to be this show called The Man Show with Adam Carolla. If you Google The Man Show, kids selling beer, you'll die. Like they would set up this little kid and he was like 12 years old. And instead of a lemonade stand, he'd sit at the corner selling beer. And like he would talk to like he was
That's
like this funny
insane.
like side he was like this funny sidekick. And I thought, wow, this would be really cool if I had a little kid on the show and we could just talk about, fishing and, almost like a father and son, but have lots of fun. And it was pretty funny for a while. And then he got older and went through puberty and got awkward. And then he decided he had to go to military school. So he couldn't be on the show any longer, but it was pretty fun for a while.
I thought that was a very interesting concept.
Yeah.
Entertaining for sure.
Yeah.
All right. So the next question I have for you um, is so more or less then what would you say drives really the success and the reputation that you've built with Monster Bass? Does that stem from um, just being the regional and being something different, or what ultimately would you say really drives that?
I think it's a couple things. When I focus on the fact that we started as a subscription box, I often go back to the whole subscription box thing. And, you know, obviously Mystery Tackle Box was the 800-pound gorilla.
Yeah.
They got funded to $53 million and then went bankrupt. Had to sell the company, and now like Catchco doesn't exist anymore. And what Mystery Tackle Box did was they catered to kids. They were like, we're gonna go all in on kids. We're gonna go all in on the Googans.
Yeah.
And I think for a while it helped them dominate the market. But then there was backlashes. There always is, because you can get too big, and then people, you can look at throughout history. You can look at bands. You can look at bands in the 70s and the 80s that like were so big that, like there's a band called the Bee Gees, right? I'm dating myself. At one time, they had 5 out of the top 10 hits in the country. They could do no wrong. And then somebody decided that they were garbage, and people backlashed and immediately started hating. You can go to the 90s and you can say in the 2000s, you can look at Nickelback, right? Nickelback was so big, they couldn't do anything wrong.
Yeah.
And then they turned on them and everybody hated them, right? You can do this in any industry. I think what happened with like Mystery was like they banked on Guggen. They stuffed the box full of Guggen. And everyone's like, enough of this stuff. I don't want it anymore. And so I took that as a lesson, and what I think we do differently, like I have my own brand of baits, but yet I still remain true that I want to introduce you. I want to give you some baits from the brands you know and trust, the Z-Mans of the world.
Yeah.
I want to introduce you to smaller regional players like Razor Custom Tackle that have a cult-like following in their 3 surrounding states. But then I want to introduce you to the small businesses that are the fabric of this country, like Bo's Jigs. Bo's Jigs is one guy in his garage in Alabama making hand tying jigs. He was in the box last month or this month. And so I want to give you a really great mix of baits. I want to show you how to use them. I want to showcase the brands. And I want to bring everyone together in a community that also has a cause. We have 2 things that I really get behind, and that's veterans and kids. We have a program called Monsterbass Cares where we donate money to veteran initiatives and really support them, because there's not a day that goes by where I'm not grateful for the sacrifice that our veterans and their families have.
Absolutely.
It's funny. My email team just asked if I'd be willing to write a letter for 9/11, and I was like, of course. And so veteran causes are really important. And kids. I used to teach first grade a long time ago, and if money didn't matter, I'd be a teacher, because there's nothing more important than shaping and molding the next generation.
Yeah.
And so that's been really important. So I think what makes us different is that it's just this community that all comes together towards these common goals. I think the challenge that we have is that social media gives everybody a platform to have an opinion. And
Yes.
you can have haters that it doesn't matter what you say, they're going to spew hate. You can have people that no matter what you say, they're not going to agree with you. And so you have to tune out all the noise and just stick to the fact that we're serving a purpose and we have a goal. The goal is to help you become a better angler. And if the goal is just to save money, then go to Walmart, hit the bargain bins, buy whatever you want to buy and just save money. But if you want to join a community and be a part of something that has a purpose and goals, then look to Monsterbass, right?
Yeah.
We're going to roll out a new program whereby, I think I have it written down here somewhere. We're going to roll out a new program shortly thereafter, where you buy a season's pass. So join for 1 year. And in 1 year, you're going to pay your monthly fee. But the longer you stay with us, the more free stuff you're going to get. So I'll give you an example. Join for a year and pay monthly. Month 2, we're going to send you a free jackhammer. Month 4, we're going to send you a free t-shirt. Month 6, we're going to send you, some 3,700 tackle boxes, all the way up to month 10, where we're going to send you a free reel. And month 12, we're going to send you a free rod. We're going to give you literally everything that you need to fish a season. And it's all just because you're part of the community and you're buying into the belief that it's bigger than just a box. It's about like being a part of something and learning to catch more fish, right? We
Yeah.
celebrate PB. So you go to monsterbass.com/PB, you upload your catch, whether it's the catch that you're proud of from this weekend or your PB. We celebrate those wins on Instagram with Monster Bass Monday, or on Monster Bass Live every Wednesdays at 4 p.m. Pacific, where we showcase people's PBs, right? We've helped close to 1,000 people catch their PBs in 5 years. And so that's where we stand out, and that's what makes us different, is that we're trying to build something bigger than a box.
Yeah. So the like season pass, so would you equivalent that to like a rewards loyalty program kind of thing? Like, you're going to be with us for this year. We're going to reward you. This is what you're going to get.
Well, we also have a
Similar.
loyalty program. We have a loyalty program so that for every dollar you spend, you earn points, and you earn
Okay.
points. You go from level to level, and you give back so that you can, you collect those points and you put them towards your future purchases and you save money. The other thing that we do is, I would make the argument that we sell product on our website cheaper than anywhere else on the planet, cheaper than Tackle Warehouse. And here's why. Let's say I'm sending out 100 boxes a month. I mean, I'm sending out way more than that, but let's just use the
Yeah.
round number of 100. And let's say I buy 100 jackhammers, but let's say I only sell 95 boxes. Well, I got to do something with those jackhammers. So I put them for sale on my website. Now, we all know jackhammers are expensive, but
Yeah.
what I'll do is I'll send you an email and I'll be like, here's your 30% discount code for being a member. It's not just because it's Black Friday. No, it's a random Saturday, and it's a random Saturday in August, and we're gonna hook you up. It's not about being a discount brand, it's about giving back, because it does me no good to have those 5 jackhammers on the floor. I'd much rather put them in your hands. I'd much rather have you experience a jackhammer, be like, wow, there's a big difference between a jackhammer and a regular chatterbait. So the
Yeah.
next time you go shopping, you'll go to Tackle Warehouse, who's got every color under the sun, and you'll buy jackhammers from them.
Yeah. Very good premise. I like that.
Yeah.
So with that, I kind of want to shift gears a little bit and
Sure.
go more into Rick Patri, a little
Yeah.
bit about you, and just a couple questions here pertaining to that. With the first one being, so we heard what drove your passion for monster bass, but my curiosity wonders what drove your passion for bass fishing in general. What gave you that first, like, ooh, I'm really into this. I'm really into bass fishing.
So I think there's a misunderstanding that because I own a bass fishing company, that I must go fishing all the time.
Yeah.
I haven't been fishing in about a year,
Wow.
freshwater, because I'm running a bass fishing company,
Yeah.
which means every single day, all I do is talk about bass fishing. So on my days off, I don't necessarily want to go bass fishing. It's kind of weird, but it started out as a little kid. I remember I used to have a bamboo fishing pole, and my grandfather would take me out. And we'd go fishing, and I loved it. It was the best time ever. I was using worms, catching fish, and it was so good. And I got a little older, and me and my friends would run around the lake, and we go fishing. We'd have the best time. And again, it really wasn't until my kid came to me and was like, "I want to go fishing," and and that's when I really kind of got back into it. And oddly enough, then these guys approached me. I was running an agency, and they wanted to go build a website in fishing, and they had this idea, which I was like, whatever. But then I started thinking about like bass fishing in general and how much people love it. And then I went to the Bassmaster Classic down in New Orleans back in like, I don't know. Well, it was the year Skeet Reese won on the Red River. I don't know, maybe 90, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And that's when I was like, huh, I really love fishing. And I really have this great idea and I would love to be able to help people. Why not give this a try? And so I just gave it a try and here we are, many years later and it's been great.
That's a interesting story that kind of correlates with the company itself and similar passion.
Yeah.
So next question. Well, as you say, you haven't been fishing in a while, but I'm still curious what kind of tips would you have for someone getting started or someone just looking to do something different? What have you learned that's most effective to you over your time in fishing?
Yeah. I'm pretty consistent in my feedback. I think if you're brand new to fishing, and some of it does depend on your budget, right? If budget isn't a concern, I would tell people go book a half day session with a guide. Let the guide take you out. Let the guide show you what to do. Because you can watch all the YouTube videos in the world, but it's still a daunting task to get out there on a boat or on the bank and be like, now what?
What do I
I've got
do?
a
Yeah,
yeah, I got a tackle box full of stuff and I'm just gonna try, there I am standing on the shore and I'm throwing crankbaits. Like, I don't know. And so I would say, book a guide. If not, I would say start with a Texas rig and start throwing that. I would say watch some videos. We got 400 instructional videos on the website. Whether you go to YouTube, or you go to our website, I would say watch some videos and then, talk to some of your friends because everyone's got the right way to do things.
yeah.
We all got opinions. But I would say just because you throw a Texas rig 5 times and you don't catch anything, don't give up, right? Like, could be the color, could be the water, could be, it could be a variety of things.
Different
But start
variables.
with, yeah, start with something simple. Start with something simple, and don't be afraid to throw worms. Don't be, right? Don't be afraid to use live bait. Listen, half the battle is I just want to catch fish.
Yeah,
And the moment I start catching
yeah,
fish and I see, oh wow, this is fun, I can do this, right? Because there's nothing worse than going out 3 days in a row and you catch nothing. There's no easier way to throw the pole away and be like, I'm done with this fishing crap.
yep.
So just go and do whatever is the easiest. Catch some fish. I don't care if they're bluegill. Panfish is a great way to get started. And from there, you can work up to bass because bass fishing isn't the easiest. So set yourself up for success and do
Pan,
something that's guaranteed to help you catch fish.
and panfish are tastier.
Tastier for sure. I haven't eaten bass, and I know that that's controversial, but I'm going fishing in October
Yeah,
up on the California Delta, and I do know that I'm going to try bass because there's a core group of people up there that believe that harvesting bass. We had one of our guests was an aquatic biologist, and he talked about the fact that like the whole catch and release of bass is actually harming waters in some cases, and it's good to harvest some. So this aquatic biologist is going to make me eat some bass. So I don't know. We'll see what it tastes like. I don't know.
I think you'll notice a difference.
I'm sure. I'm sure.
And good luck with that.
Yeah. Right.
Talking about October and going fishing in October is a good segue for my next question and possibly the last one. I don't know how much time you have, and I don't want to take up all your
Whatever you
time.
need.
I appreciate you coming on the show. So summer's not too far, or summer's almost over, and we're getting ready to transition into fall. So back to techniques and lures and things on that, more on that line, what do you find works best in the fall? And again, I understand it's going to be probably more region specific, but what
Yeah.
particularly, what lure do you say, yes, this is my go-to fall lure? This has great success.
Yeah. So around September, again, for me, and I'm in a different area of the country than many of your viewers, but
Yeah.
I love throwing poppers. Love throwing poppers. Um, I find that the bass start to, they start to come in shallow a little bit, and a popper's a really great way. I like to throw it along the weed lines because whenever there's weeds, there's oxygen, and so if you can target that weed line and entice them with a popper, it's a great bait to throw. I also love a spinner bait, because the spinner bait works at a variety of speeds, depths,
Yep.
water type, so it's really good. As it starts to get a little bit colder, I'm gonna start to move to a lipless. Um, but I would never sleep on a good underspin. Um, a good little uh soft swim bait with an
Yeah.
underspin. Love it. Love it this time of year.
You talking about like that little jig head that has that little blade on it underneath?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a good
yeah,
setup. I like that.
yeah.
Popper, I've had a lot of success with poppers as well. Also buzz baits. Buzz baits this year have been a go-to for me. I've caught a lot of buzz baits this year.
Yeah, buzzbait is not one that I've mastered. I don't know why. And granted, like I haven't been fishing this season, so part of it's that I'm not out there in the water all the time.
And again,
But for whatever,
region
for-
specific. Yeah.
but for whatever reason, I have no confidence with the buzzbait. None. Don't know why.
You give it a another shake.
Probably.
So also, I do have this that I've never heard of before until
I can't see it. What
your
is it?
company. I'm sorry, this is the Banger 110 from Banger or Bruiser Baits. I've never heard of Bruiser Baits until Monsterbass, and I've tried this
Okay.
out. It looks good. I like the
Okay.
action of this.
hmm
It's a pretty
So,
good.
yeah, Bruiser Baits is a Florida-based company. Steve Dial is the owner. They started on Lake Okeechobee, mostly selling soft plastics. You can get their soft plastics at Tackle Warehouse. And recently they've moved into hard baits. They've got a top water. They've got the jerk bait that you were just showing. They've got a lipless. No, they've got a square bill, and he's got a lipless coming out in the fall. Um, yeah, it's again in my pursuit of introducing you to brands that you may not have heard of or small businesses throughout the
Yeah.
country. Um, Bruiser Baits is one of those baits, and we're fortunate enough to have a really good relationship with them. So they usually let us introduce their baits prior to mass consumption. They let us introduce them in the box, and so we're really grateful to have that opportunity.
Yeah, I've never heard of them until then. But I like the product. But I'm sad to say, unfortunately, when I when I tied my first, because I had four of them, I'm down to three. I tied the first one on in Kentucky Lake. I don't know if you've ever fished Kentucky Lake. It is full of junk. There's junk on the bottom. I got
Okay.
snagged up. I was fishing kind of more continual than a stop and go retrieve,
Yeah, yeah,
and in doing so, I snagged a log or something, and I lost that.
yeah.
So I'm down one, but other than that, I like the look and presentation of the bait.
Yeah, it's a good little bait.
Uh, all right, that's all I got for you. If you have anything you want to throw out there, any socials or anything you want to plug, go for it.
Yeah, I'd be happy to give your viewers a discount. So if you head over to monsterbass.com and use promo code 2415, you'll save 20% off of anything store wide. And I'll make that code active right after the site. And so, hopefully you get a chance to take advantage of something in the Monster Bass store. And I just want to say thank you for having me on the show. I really appreciate it. And I wish you nothing but a ton of success.
Thank you. I greatly appreciate the promo code. I will link that in the description and appreciate your time. Thank you so much for joining the show. It's been a pleasure and excited and happy to have had you on here. So, with that,
Thank you.
that's going to do it for us. Thank you all for listening. We appreciate you listening, and we'll catch you in the next one.